Denji is a pathetic loser who can't find a single girlfriend in his whole life. But one day God flips his fate and turns him into a devil and finds too many baddies who wants his joystick, and he wants only one thing. Denji's day kicks off like any other, waking up in his busted up shack looking like he lives in a junkyard. He gets himself together and heads out to grind. On his way, he starts adding up the cash he scraped together from selling his kidney, one of his eyeballs, and even sorry guys, mean his balls. Even after all that, he's barely sitting on 2 million yen, which doesn't even scratch the surface of his massive 38 million debt. Once he reaches his devil hunting gig, he grabs his ragged-looking dog Pachita, revs him up into a chainsaw, and gets ready to slice up some demons. Denji soon runs into a demon that looks like a big-sized tomato, and with Pachita as his chainsaw weapon, he turns it into tomato paste in seconds. The Yakuza boss seems impressed and hands Denji 400,000 yen for the job. But after chopping off debts, fees, and random cuts, Denji's left with barely 70,000 yen to survive. He starts thinking about bills, electricity, water, and realizes he's got under 2,000 yen to stretch across an entire month. He is more than my girlfriend. He turns to Pachita and says dinner's gonna be just a slice of bread. Meanwhile, one of the Yakuza goons asks the boss why they even bother with Denji. The boss explains that Denji's dumb dad died leaving behind a mountain of debt, so Denji's been forced to clean it up. Unlike real devil hunters, Denji doesn't ask questions, he'll do whatever he's told. Right then, the Yakuza lackey pulls up beside Denji and offers him 100 yen to eat a lit cigarette. Without hesitation, Denji does it just to buy himself 3 more days of bread. After the car pulls away, Denji quickly spits the cigarette out and heads home, happy to pocket that extra 100 yen. While lying around, he vents to Pachita about how miserable life is. He can't even afford some jam for his plain bread. He dreams of someday getting a girlfriend who'd actually play with his joystick. His mind drifts back to the day his dad took his own life. Right after, the Yakuza cornered him, demanding 700,000 yen by morning, or they'd slice him up and toss him to the dogs. That's when Denji first came across Pachita, the tiny chainsaw devil who originally wanted to turn him into sashimi. But Denji didn't care anymore and told him to go ahead. Then he saw the devil was hurt and bleeding out too. Realizing they were both about to die, Denji offered his hand and told Pachita to drink his blood. After a few bites, Denji promised they'd survive together. From that moment on, Denji started using Pachita as his devil-slaying chainsaw for the Yakuza. Now, as he lies there, he tells Pachita he just wants to dream of soft bread, sweet jam, and someone warm to hold. But then, out of nowhere, he starts coughing up blood and says his mom had the same thing before her heart gave out. Right then, there's a knock at Denji's door. Some Yakuza guys show up, saying they've got another devil job for him. They drive him out to this creepy, rundown factory. On the way, Denji casually asks what kind of devil he's dealing with, but his boss acts super shady and just says they won't be needing his help anymore. Before Denji can even process it, a zombie jabs him from behind. The boss finally admits that they made a deal with a demon for power, but instead of gaining anything, they all got turned into the undead, now serving the zombie devil. That creature commands the zombie squad to slice Denji up and dump him like trash. Denji fights to get away, even though he's bleeding bad. Just as he's nearly at the exit, another slash knocks him down. The zombies pile on and start stabbing him over and over while he screams, then toss what's left of him and Pachita into a garbage heap. But Denji's blood leaks out and hits Pachita, waking the little devil up. As he stares at Denji's broken body, his mind flashes back to their past when Denji admitted he'd probably die fighting a devil someday. The thought of Pachita being left alone, starving and hunted by other devil hunters, terrified Denji. So he told Pachita, "When I'm gone, take over my body with your powers. Go somewhere far away, live a quiet life, and chase the dreams we never could." That memory hits hard, and Pachita, powered by pure plot magic, puts Denji's body back together and becomes his new heart. Inside Denji's mind, he meets Pachita, who tells him that in exchange for his heart, he just wants one thing: to see Denji live out his dreams and hopefully clap some baddies. Denji wakes up and glances at his chest. Spotting Pachita's tail sticking out, he quickly realizes his tiny devil buddy has become his new heart. The zombie devil is stunned to see Denji alive and whole, and instantly tells his undead army to tear him apart. But Denji, powered by loyalty and a fresh spark of rage, has other plans. He yanks on the cord coming out of his chest, and even though the horde jumps him, the sound of a chainsaw revving sends chills through the room. Denji, now transformed into a human chainsaw hybrid, rips through the crowd like it's nothing. He charges forward and takes out one of the zombie devil's eyeballs. The devil tries to knock Denji away, launching him straight into another zombie pile. But Denji, now on full beast mode, shreds through every one of them with ease, like slicing cake. Fed up, he barrels toward the zombie devil again, ignoring all the walking corpses in his path. Despite the demon's desperate defense, Denji reaches him and cuts the devil clean in half. Looking around after the chaos, Denji sees the Yakuza still look like mindless zombies. But instead of feeling bad, he's actually kind of glad they're gone for good, which means no more debt. He goes wild, hacking down every last one until sunrise. Soon after, 2 cars pull up, and 3 professional devil hunters walk into the bloody mess. They realize their late Denji already finished the job. One of them, a red-haired woman, steps closer and tells him he doesn't smell like a normal human or a pure devil. Like the smooth simp he is, Denji throws himself at her, begging for a hug and to feel her soft chest. She hugs him gently. And just like that, Denji's devil form fades and he goes back to his regular self. She introduces herself as a devil hunter and gives him 2 choices: die like a monster, or live under her care like a house pet. Without hesitation, Denji says yes and even promises to bark and lick her boobs. She brings Denji to her car, and while they're inside, she calmly tells him that from now on, she's the boss and he'll be like her loyal little pup. Denji starts thinking how unlucky he is, landing yet another harsh master. But then his stomach growls like a wild animal. Hearing that, she says they'll stop for a bite at the next rest stop. Denji quietly says he's broke, but she smiles and tells him to order anything, she's got it covered. She even hands him her coat, and for once, Denji feels noticed, not judged for how he smells or looks. At the rest area, Denji happily picks some food, finally excited. But as soon as he's handed the meal, he passes out from blood loss, falling into her soft poilos and licking her pillow like a dog. She gently asks what's going on, and Denji weakly explains that his pet devil saved him by becoming his heart. Hearing this, she tells him it's unheard of, no devil has ever saved a human like that before. Still, she believes him. She mentions she has a sharp nose and can tell there's both human and devil scent on him. That means Pachita is still alive inside him. Hearing that makes Denji feel warm inside, but his body gives out again. He blacks out and later wakes up with his head resting on her lap. He jumps up, still craving the food he passed out over. She gently asks if he's alright and if he's able to eat alone. Denji, being the shameless simp he is, says he can't. So she starts feeding him, bite by bite, and after each one, he barks like a puppy. That's when she finally tells him her name, Makima. Denji, without missing a beat, asks her what kind of guys she's into. She leans in and says, I like guys who has a big joystick. It takes him a second, but when it clicks, Denji's eyes light up, thinking he might actually have a shot at getting with her. Later on, Makima brings Denji to the main headquarters of the Devil Hunters. While she's busy showing him around and explaining things, Denji's brain is off in fantasy land, thinking about how badly he wants to get close enough to squeeze her melons. He figures if he sticks around long enough and proves himself, maybe that dream could actually come true. She eventually hands him a fresh uniform and tells him he'll be teaming up with another devil hunter named Aki, who's gonna be his senior during patrols. But Denji's whole vibe crashes when he hears he won't be partnered up with Makima and her heavenly curves. As Aki grabs him to head out, Denji straight up resists. He's got no interest in leaving Makima's side just yet. But then Makima walks up to Denji and gently tells him that if he does a good job, they'll get to work together more often. Hearing that, Denji finally agrees to go on patrol with Aki. While walking, Denji won't stop asking if Makima's got a boyfriend or someone she's into, which ticks Aki off. He suddenly pulls Denji into a back alley and starts beating the brakes off him for acting like a clown. Aki says that if Denji isn't serious about this dangerous job, he should quit now because going in with a pervy mindset will only get him killed. Denji, still bruised up, admits his only reason for fighting devils is to get closer to Makima and maybe grab her cheeks someday. Disgusted, Aki throws Denji's cigarette back at him, spits on it, and says he'll tell Makima that Denji ran away like a scared little kid. But just as Aki turns his back, Denji lands a brutal kick right between the legs, and then follows it up with more nut-crushing stomps. While Aki's on the ground, Denji tells him that even if this job gets him killed, it's worth it because Makima was the first person to treat him like a human being. Aki tries to fight back, saying a trash guy like Denji doesn't deserve a girl like her. Denji answers by smashing the balls again and proudly claiming his goal is now to clap Makima. Later, Denji reports to Makima and says a nut devil knocked Aki out cold. Aki eventually stumbles in and tries to explain, but Makima seems amused and decides to put Denji on Aki's squad anyway. Confused, Aki asks what Denji even is. Makima explains that Denji isn't a normal person, he's a rare hybrid, part human and part devil. Aki finds that hard to believe, but Makima confirms it and says Denji will receive special treatment because of it. She adds one final warning: if Denji ever tries to leave, he'll be treated like a full-on devil enemy. Denji asks what that actually means and she smiles, saying it means he'll be hunted like a monster. So quitting? Not an option. Later on, Aki takes Denji to his apartment and tells him they'll be roommates from now on. Out of nowhere, Denji asks if Makima is actually a bad person. Aki's offended by the question. He says Makima once saved his life and that she's a respected devil hunter. After hearing that, Denji feels relieved, thinking nice, she's a good one. Then he mumbles to himself that he wants to hug her again, which catches Aki off guard and makes him jealous. Now living together, Denji acts like a total caveman. Since he came from such a rough background, he doesn't even know how to use toilet paper right or that jam exists for bread. It's like watching someone discover civilization. During one of their patrols, they check out a situation involving a devil-possessed body in a house. As they walk in, Denji asks what a fiend even is. Aki's shocked he doesn't know, but explains that it's when a devil takes over a human corpse. Denji asks if that means he's one too, but Aki says real fiends usually have a messed up face. Inside, they find the fiend, and Aki tells Denji to go all out with his powers so he can see what he's capable of. But instead of transforming, Denji just casually walks over and chops the fiend's head off with an axe. Denji explains he relates to fiends, kinda like Tanjiro vibes. He didn't want the thing to suffer. Aki's not impressed. He scolds Denji, saying that devils are still killers no matter what, and sympathy could get people killed. He even shares that his own family was wiped out by a devil, so he doesn't mess around. But Denji just shrugs and says he still wants to try and befriend some devils. He's never had real friends before. Aki walks off, clearly disappointed. Denji, not caring too much, starts going through the dead fiend's stash of hidden adult mags. Denji starts reflecting on what Pachita once asked of him. Even though he now has a roof over his head, regular meals, and a girl like Mikima who actually talks to him, he still feels something's missing. After thinking harder than a bored philosopher, he finally figures it out. What he really wants is to squeeze some melons. With a job and Mikima no longer feeling totally out of reach, Denji sets a new life goal. One day, he's gonna lay the ultimate pipe with her. Later, Mikima tells Denji she's assigning him a new partner. While she's still talking, in walks his new teammate, a wild-looking fiend named Power. Denji's confused at first, wondering how a fiend gets to work with devil hunters. But the moment he notices her curves, all questions disappear. He's instantly down to work with her. Mikima warns them both that this is a test-run team, and if they mess up, higher-ups won't hesitate to shut the team down and toss both of them aside like trash. Out on patrol, the two walk along a rooftop mainly because Power's horns would freak people out. Not long into it, Power smacks Denji on the head, yelling at him to find her a devil already because she's itching for a fight. Meanwhile, Denji's mind is stuck on a different mission: how to get his hands on her chest. During their stroll, they run into some civilian devil hunters. Remembering Mikima's advice, Denji quickly flashes their ID and explains that they're with a special division. That gets the others to back off. Hours pass, and they still haven't run into a single devil. Power then brags that it's probably because her presence alone scares them away. After all, she was once a top-tier devil that everyone feared before becoming a fiend. Denji suddenly remembers that it was Aki who assigned them as partners, and it hits him. That dude totally set him up by sticking him with someone as Power. Out of nowhere, Power picks up the scent of blood and bolts off toward a sea cucumber devil. Wasting no time, she leaps into the air, forms a massive hammer out of her own blood, and crushes the devil in a single brutal blow. A bit later, Mikima shows up at the scene, not too happy. She scolds them for interfering, especially since civilian devil hunters were already handling it. She tells Power she acted too recklessly and questions whether she's even fit to be a devil hunter, considering she can't control herself. Panicking, Power quickly blames Denji, saying he told her to attack. But Denji claps back and tells Mikima the truth. Power charged in on her own. While the two argue like kids fighting over who broke a window, Mikima simply stares at them, then tells them both to shut it. Power immediately goes silent, which surprises Denji. He didn't expect her to follow orders so quickly. Later, while Denji grabs some drinks, Power joins him. He tells her that he actually likes this new life of his and wants to keep it going, but he can't if she keeps messing things up. Out of nowhere, a stray cat wanders over. As Power gently pets it, she opens up telling Denji about her old cat, Meowie, who was stolen by a devil before she could save it. She says she joined up with humans even though she can't stand them, because if Mikima can help her get Meowie back, then it's worth it. Denji thinks her reason is lame, especially compared to his personal goal of grabbing some But Power hears that and says if he helps her find her cat, she'll let him touch hers. Hearing that, Denji lights up like a firework. With Power's promise and her chest now burned into his mind, he suddenly becomes a man on a mission. He shouts that no devil should ever steal someone's pet, and Power gets hyped too. They both get the green light from HQ to let Power roam freely for this mission. When asked why she needs freedom, Power casually says it's because she sometimes gets the urge to rip off people's joysticks. Tell me in the comments guys what she means. Denji and Power hop on a train to go after the devil, and the whole ride, Denji keeps sneaking peeks at Power's chest like a true perv. Trying to make conversation, he tells her about Pachita, his old pet who, even though he's not physically around anymore, still lives on inside him. Power, being her usual blunt self, calls him a sad little weakling for clinging to a dead pet and tells him to grow up. That moment seals it. Denji quietly decides there's no way he's ever gonna try to clap her. Meanwhile, Mikima checks in with her superiors, giving them an update on her squad. She says her new recruits, Denji and Power, are unique and she believes they could be valuable weapons against devils later on. On the way back, Aki tells Mikima straight up that he finds Denji gross and doesn't get what she sees in him at all. While sipping her coffee, Mikima calmly explains that devils are born with names and their strength depends on how much fear people associate with that name. She gives an example: if there were a coffee devil, No one would be scared of it, so it'd be weak. But a truck devil? That one would be terrifying, because people can easily picture getting run over and yeeted to the afterlife. Since Denji turns into a chainsaw devil, something loud, violent, and scary, Mikima sees him as a valuable and powerful tool worth keeping close. Denji and Power show up at a haunted old house, and Power tells him this is where the devil who took her cat is hiding. As they get closer, Denji starts sensing something fishy. He pauses and asks why she'd even come here, knowing the devil might use the cat as leverage against her. Power realizes she slipped up, and without saying much she knocks Denji out cold with a smack to the head, mumbling how easy it was to trick him with a little chest bounce. She drags his limp body inside and offers him as a meal to the Bat Devil. The giant monster lifts Denji up and points to his missing arm, saying it got torn off because of humans. He plans to drink Denji's blood to grow it back. He squeezes Denji like a fruit and gulps his blood, but immediately gags and spits him out because of how awful it tastes. Still, it's enough to regrow his arm. Now restored, the Bat Devil plans a full-on human buffet. Denji, barely alive on the floor, remembers Aki's warning that befriending devils is a death wish. Power glances at him and mocks him, calling him dumb for believing her fake sob story. Meanwhile, the Bat Devil flies toward the city. After sniffing the crowd, he says adults taste gross, so he decides to snack on kids first. Power suddenly demands her cat, Meowie, back. Just as it looks like the devil might return the cat, he grins and swallows it whole, punishing her for bringing him nasty-tasting blood. Power flashes back to when she first found Meowie. Her plan was to fatten it up and eat it. But after feeding it milk and spending time together, the cat became something more, a friend, something she never thought she could have. Then one day, the Bat Devil showed up, took the cat, and told her to bring him a human or lose Meowie for good. Watching her cat get eaten, Power turns to Denji and admits she finally gets how he felt when he lost Pachita. But the Bat Devil isn't done. He grabs Power next and swallows her too, gagging again because of her awful taste. Still, the meal gives him just enough energy to take off toward the city for his real feast. As he flies, he suddenly notices Denji clinging to his leg. The devil grabs him and starts crushing him again. While being squeezed, Denji recalls the time Pachita went missing. He found him curled up in the shed, and the two cuddled up and fell asleep together. That memory hits hard, and in that moment, Denji fully understands the pain Power felt when she lost Meowie. Fueled by emotion, Denji yanks the cord on his chest, revving up and transforming into the Chainsaw Devil. Denji swings into action and slices off the Bat Devil's arm again, shocking the monster as he realizes Denji isn't just human, he's a devil too. Meanwhile, some random office lady is just vibing in her workspace when suddenly, the two devils crash through her building, wrecking her entire office. Denji tells her to get out fast, which stuns the Bat Devil, seeing a devil care about a human. Denji sends the beast flying into the city, and they start brawling like it's WWE. Denji begins to take control of the fight. Trying to catch him off guard, the Bat Devil picks up a car with a person still inside and hurls it at Denji. But Denji catches it mid-air and yeets it right back, not even caring if the person survives. The car smacks the devil in the face, leaving him scorched. Angry now, the Bat Devil charges up a shockwave blast and fires it, sending Denji crashing through buildings. Thinking he's won, the Bat Devil grabs another human to munch on so he can heal. But Denji rises again, bloodied but standing. He shouts that he's not giving up, he's going to tear the devil apart just so he can finally grow Power's chest. The Bat Devil starts to panic, and Denji goes full beast mode, slashing him like crazy and ripping open his gut to rescue Power and her cat. He lands like a boss, striking a heroic pose straight out of Power's dreams. Inside her fading consciousness, Power remembers her past, how she used to survive by drinking the blood of anything with fur or feathers, from birds to cows to full-grown bears. But after she met Meowie, things changed. She had planned to raise the cat only to eat it later, but as they grew close, that idea faded. When the Bat Devil stole Meowie, she ran into the city hoping to find a human to trade for her cat's life. But something didn't make sense. Why would she go this far for a cat? Then, while lying on the ground, she looks at her injured, bleeding hand and suddenly understands. The cat's warm blood comforted her. That warmth was love, and it's why she truly cared about Meowie. She wakes up to see Denji standing over her, having saved both her and Meowie. When she asks why he bothered, Denji gives a hand gesture showing he still wants to touch her chest. She calls him an idiot for it but still tells him he can grab her boobs since he did save her cat. Denji loses it, screaming in victory. But right as he's celebrating, a nasty-looking devil ugly enough to look like your mom in the morning appears out of nowhere and chops off his hand, then eats it. Denji tries to transform again, but nothing happens. He's too low on blood to fight back. The strange devil introduces herself as the Leech Devil, claiming she was the Bat Devil's girlfriend. Now that her man's gone, she offers Denji the honor of becoming her new lover. Denji immediately refuses. He's not about to hook up with someone who looks like a dried-up prune, and despite not being able to transform, he charges in to fight. Denji throws everything he's got at her, swinging wildly and using whatever's around him as weapons, but nothing seems to hurt her. The Leech Devil starts going on about her dream, how she and her ex wanted to devour all of humanity together. Denji, fed up with all this dream talk, interrupts her and yells that it's now a battle of dreams. He says if she loses, it means her twisted dream is weaker than his one goal to touch some boobs. With pure chaos in his eyes, Denji keeps fighting, using brute strength and desperation. His eye nearly pops out from the strain, and Power watches in awe, thinking how insane and devil-like he really is. Just when Denji gets close enough to use the little chainsaw on his head, the Leech Devil stabs him first, and prepares to finish him off. Suddenly, Aki appears and summons his Fox Devil, which lunges in and devours the Leech Devil in one bite. His team rushes in to clean up the mess, securing the area and checking on Denji, Power, and the cat. Later, Denji wakes up in a hospital bed with Aki sitting next to him, calmly peeling apples. Aki tells him they were able to reattach his arm thanks to his devil abilities. Denji then asks about the giant fox Aki summoned. Aki explains that devil hunters form contracts by offering parts of their bodies, and in return, the devils help them fight. Just as Denji is about to enjoy some apples, Aki pulls them back and says he followed the trail of Denji's blood straight to the Bat Devil's hideout. He asks Denji if Power betrayed him. Denji fakes amnesia, pretending he doesn't remember anything. Aki warns him if he's covering for Power, both of them will be kicked out and treated like enemies. But after seeing how people from the city were thankful that Denji saved them, Aki makes a deal. He'll keep quiet if Denji agrees to follow his orders from now on. He hands him the apple again and tells Denji that if he wants to keep living this comfy new life, he'll need to play by Aki's rules. Denji agrees, promising he's not just about b****s anymore, he's serious about becoming a proper devil hunter. As Aki heads out, he reminds Denji to learn some manners. Outside the room, he's met by Power handcuffed and watched over by Himino and another agent. While Himino thinks it's risky to keep Power alive, Aki removes her handcuffs and says that devil hunters still need devils like her if they want a fighting chance. Later, he returns to headquarters to report to Mikema. Before entering her office, he stops to fix his appearance, wanting to look sharp. Inside, Aki gives a recap of the whole incident but bends the truth a bit. He says Denji took down the Bat Devil and held off the Leech Devil long enough for backup to arrive. Mikema listens but raises an eyebrow, pointing out that Denji and Power weren't even supposed to go that far from their assigned area. Aki steps in to defend them again, saying that despite everything, they managed to take down 2 devils without anyone dying, so they should be cut some slack. Mikema agrees but adds that Aki seems to be softening ever since Denji joined his squad. The next morning, Aki starts his day as usual, making coffee, brushing his teeth, and lighting up a cigarette while enjoying the peaceful vibe outside. Meanwhile, Denji wakes up, chows down on breakfast, and things seem calm until loud banging hits the door. Both Denji and Aki get ready for a fight, thinking it's another devil attack. But it's just Power, showing up with her stuff, saying she's moving in. Aki immediately calls Mikema, asking why she stuck him with 2 maniacs. Mikema simply says do some plot development at night. Sorry guys, she trusts him to keep the situation under control and adds that Power promised she'd behave. However, Power clearly lied. The moment she settles in, she becomes a total menace, throwing food around, not flushing the toilet, and flat out refusing to shower. Both Aki and Denji quickly find themselves losing patience with their new housemate. That night, while Denji's cleaning the toilet Power used, she walks in and hints that it's finally time for her to repay the favor by letting Denji grab her melons. Denji instantly starts malfunctioning with excitement. Power sits casually on the toilet, waiting for him to make a move, teasing him while saying he only gets 3 squeezes. Denji happily agrees, hands shaking with joy. She closes her eyes, ready for some action. As Denji squeezes, she starts making excited sounds until a few pads fall out of her shirt, revealing her actual size. Without the stuffing, Power's chest is way smaller than expected. Still, she urges him to keep going. Denji tries to power through it, but deep inside, he's feeling scammed. This wasn't what he imagined. The next day, Denji feels hollow and betrayed. That long-awaited moment turned out to be a letdown, and all he can think about is how he got fooled by some foam. While doing paperwork with Mikema, she picks up on his strange mood and asks what's bothering him. Denji admits that his first experience felt empty. Mikema gently takes his hand, and while softly saying the words every guy wants to hear, sighs doesn't matter, she guides his fingers to stroke her ears and even nibbles on one of them, nearly making Denji short-circuit. Then, she pulls his hand to her chest, letting him grab her for real, sending Denji straight to moon. Overwhelmed, he stumbles back and explodes from the sensation. Mikema leans in close, face just inches away, and asks if he'd do her a favor. Denji, thinking it's that kind of favor to clap her all night, he agrees without a second thought. But then, Mikema stands up and tells him to defeat the Gun Devil, a monstrous threat that devil hunters have long wanted to take down but never could. She tells Denji that if he manages to kill it, any wish he has will be granted. Shocked, Denji asks if that includes her, well, doing everything to him. Mikema smiles and says she'd even go that far if he wins. Then she explains the Gun Devil's history. Years ago, during a peak in global gun violence, a terrorist attack in the U.S. summoned the Gun Devil. In just 5 minutes, it wiped out 1.2 million people. In one tragic story, two brothers are playing in the snow. The younger one goes inside to grab gloves, and while he's gone, the house is obliterated by a sudden blast of wind. The older brother is left alone, his family gone in seconds. Since that day, the gun devil has vanished. But the trauma left behind caused fear of devils to explode, making them even more powerful. Governments tried gun control to weaken him, but the monster still hasn't been found or defeated. Denji, hearing all this, agrees the gun devil is terrifying. But deep down, he's convinced that with his chaotic luck and thick plot armor, he just might be able to take it down. To help track down the gun devil, Makima pulls out a suitcase filled with strange-looking bullets, pieces of the gun devil itself. When she lifts one, it magnetically pulls toward the others in the case. She explains that when another devil eats one of these fragments, they gain power. But if they gather enough pieces, they'll eventually lead straight to the gun devil's location. Meanwhile, Aki and Himino recover one of those fragments from inside a whale devil. With this clue, Aki feels even more driven to get revenge on the monster that killed his younger brother and destroyed his family. A few days later, another devil that had consumed one of the bullets is detected. Makima assigns Aki's squad to the case. The trail leads them to a hotel. Although most of them are used to this kind of mission, Aki brings Power and Denji along too. Before heading in, Aki warns them to behave, and when they start complaining, he bribes them with candy, which instantly shuts them up. One of the team members, Arai, questions if it's safe to bring unstable widows like Power and Denji along. Aki tells him that since they're both devils, they'll be taking the lead, and if they try anything shady, they'll be eliminated. Suddenly, Himino comes up with an idea. She says whoever defeats the target will get a kiss on the cheek from her. Arai gets hyped, saying people like Denji or Power don't deserve it. Denji, however, shrugs it off and tells Himino that he's only interested in Makima's lips, not her dried-up kiss. Himino laughs at Denji's boldness and ups the reward, saying she'll kiss him full on the lips, tongue included, if he kills the devil. With that motivation, Denji charges into the hotel without hesitation. Arai tries to block him, jealous and annoyed, but the rest of the team follows. Arai grabs Denji and yells that Himino's lips belong to him. Denji smirks and says Arai can enjoy whatever's left afterward. Power and Kobeni jump in, too, eager for some action. Watching the chaotic squad, Aki asks Himino, his senior, for her opinion on the rookies. She says that while Arai and Kobeni seem capable, she's worried most devil hunters either die or quit for private security within a year. When she flips the question back to Aki, he avoids giving a clear answer, which clearly lets her down. Flashback to years ago, Himino, grieving a fallen partner, is introduced to a young Aki, freshly assigned to be her new teammate. As he introduces himself, Himino, who has already lost 5 partners, looks at him and pleads, "Just don't die on me like the others." Back inside the hotel, Himino suddenly tells everyone to stop, something's coming. A door swings open, and out steps a bizarre creature, a walking human head. It lunges straight at Kobeni, but Himino uses her power to stop it just in time, letting Power slice it clean in half. Power starts bragging, claiming the creature froze in fear just from sensing her greatness. But Himino cuts her off, saying Power doesn't get all the credit. She explains that she used her ghost hand, a special power from a contract she made by giving up her right eye. Aki inspects the dead devil and confirms it's not the one connected to the bullet they're tracking, so the team heads upstairs. Power laughs, saying it's dumb for Himino to reveal her tricks so openly. But Himino doesn't seem worried. She hints that she's got plenty more abilities they haven't seen. To test her, Power suddenly threatens Kobeni to see how Himino reacts. Instantly, Himino wraps her invisible ghost hand around Power's neck and starts choking her out. She calmly says she could crush Power's throat without her even knowing. Power tries to resist, but can't break free until Himino finally releases her, saying they should probably learn to work together instead. Once they reach the 9th floor, Arai takes the lead but spots the exact same blood splatter Power left behind on the 8th floor. He points it out, confused. Denji brushes it off, thinking Arai's overthinking. But Arai heads back downstairs to check and somehow ends up popping back in from the floor above. That's when they all realize something's off. Himino tells Kobeni to make a peace sign so they can confirm things visually. She goes down a floor, but runs right into Arai again, who's now panicking. Aki tells Kobeni to stay calm while he checks a nearby room. Inside, he finds a window, opens it, and climbs through only to appear in another identical room. When he opens the door to exit, he finds Arai again, this time coming from a completely different direction. Denji points out that the windows don't lead anywhere real. That's when Aki pieces it together. They're stuck in a time or space loop, trapped on the 8th floor. The whole group regroups in one room to talk things through, but no matter what they try, they can't find a single way out. Arai brings up the idea that if they're stuck too long, other devil hunters might come to rescue them. But Himino isn't hopeful. She believes any backup would just end up trapped like they are. She then asks Aki about the bullet piece, but when he checks it, there's no reaction at all. The pressure starts getting to Kobeni, and she begins freaking out. Arai tries to calm her by reminding her why she became a devil hunter in the first place. Through tears, she confesses that while her brother got to go to college, her family made her choose between two jobs, either becoming a devil hunter or working in sleazy service jobs, where she'd be used by creepy old men every night. So she chose the lesser evil. Kobeni breaks down crying, saying she wishes she could have gone to school instead. Power, being her usual chaotic self, just laughs and says her crying face looks busted. Himino quickly steps in and tells her to knock it off, warning everyone that devils feed off fear. Aki then notices something strange: the clock has stopped ticking. That's when he realizes time itself has frozen on this floor, meaning no matter how long they're gone, no one outside will even know to come help. While the others stress out, Denji casually suggests they all just sleep forever, since time isn't moving. The team calls him an idiot, but Denji doesn't care. He curls up and naps anyway. Hours later, Himino wakes Denji up. He groggily asks if they've escaped yet, but she says they're still trapped. Aki keeps searching nonstop, while Arai and Kobeni have locked themselves in a room, either sleeping or panicking in silence. Denji asks where Power is, and Himino takes him to her. They find her loudly ranting about how Attack on Titan is just a bootleg of Code Geass. After that, Himino tells Denji and Power to take turns watching over Arai and Kobeni. Later, as she pulls out a cigarette, Denji notices it's the same brand Aki smokes. Himino smiles and explains she's the one who got Aki into smoking. Flashback to years earlier, before Aki picked up the habit, she offered him a smoke. He refused, saying he didn't want to die young. She promised to hold him to that. At one point, Himino gets slapped by a random woman. When Aki asks who she was, Himino says it was the wife of her former partner, someone who died. She says this kind of thing always happens when her teammates die, and she's used to it. But Aki isn't okay with it. He storms off. Minutes later, he returns. When Himino asks what he did, he casually says he stuck a wad of gum on the woman's back to get revenge. That makes Himino laugh for the first time in a while. Someone finally stood up for her. Later, she invites Aki out to dinner and again offers him a cigarette. He turns it down, but she convinces him that since they'll be partners for a long time, he should at least try. Aki gives in and agrees to smoke, but only that one time. In the present, Aki has clearly changed his mind. Now a regular smoker, he casually asks Himino for another cigarette. Himino takes the cigarette from her lips and places it into Aki's mouth, sharing a smoke with him. Denji watches and grumbles, feeling jealous over what he calls an indirect kiss. Aki, unimpressed, tells him to shut it. Suddenly, Aki informs everyone that the head devil Power sliced earlier has returned, and it's now grown much bigger. The team rushes out to face it. The devil, now resembling a massive blob of Play-Doh, offers them a deal. He'll release everyone trapped inside the hotel, but only if they let him devour Denji dead or alive. Kobeni stumbles out of her room, trembling and holding a knife. Shaking with fear, she demands that Denji surrender himself to the devil. Then, in a burst of panic, she lunges at him. Before she can do anything, Aki and Himino quickly shut her down with a clean 2-hit combo, knocking her out and protecting Denji. Himino suggests using Aki's Fox Devil to finish the enemy, but when Aki tries to summon it, nothing happens. Turns out they're sealed off from the outside, so his contract can't reach the fox. With no choice, Himino uses her ghost hand to start attacking the creature. She lands hit after hit, but the more she strikes, the bigger the devil grows. It laughs, explaining that they're inside its body, its stomach, to be exact, and that it has no weak points here. The only way out, it says, is if they agree to its deal. Denji figures the devil might be lying, but Himino tells him otherwise. Devils can't break contracts. If one side doesn't hold up their end, they die. Then Arai steps out and without hesitation suggests sacrificing Denji. He argues that it's the only way for the rest of them to survive. Aki immediately shuts that idea down, refusing to let anyone benefit by throwing Denji to a devil. The group regroups and sits together in the hallway, trying to come up with a plan. Aki considers using his sword as a last resort. Himino quickly objects, warning that doing so comes with a heavy price. Even Denji tells Aki to just use the sword already, but Himino firmly says no. She looks Denji dead in the eye and says it would be better for him to die than for Aki to draw that sword. Meanwhile, Arai realizes they've completely run out of food. When he turns to Power, he finds her casually munching away like nothing's wrong. Suddenly, Kobeni shows up, clutching a knife, and accuses Power of stealing the last of the food. As Arai tries to defend Power, Kobeni loses it, accusing him of siding with devils and calling him their mindless servant. She starts waving the knife around in a panic, scaring Arai so badly he lets out a loud scream. That's when the devil hears them. The Eternity Devil, now even larger, starts charging after them, saying their fear fuels him and that he will personally destroy the Chainsaw Devil. Out of nowhere, the floor starts tilting sideways as the devil manipulates the space. The monster opens his massive mouth, begging Denji to jump in. Both Himino and Arai start begging Aki to just give Denji up so they can all survive. Aki, shaken but focused, prepares to draw his sword. But before he can, Himino uses her ghost hand to stop him. She apologizes to Denji, explaining that if Aki uses the sword, it'll cost him years of his life. She refuses to watch Aki throw himself away and instead offers Denji up as the sacrifice. Right then, Arai moves in to hold Denji down, but before anyone can react, Kobeni charges in from behind and stabs at Denji with her knife. Aki steps in just in time, taking the blade himself to shield Denji. Everyone freezes in shock, especially Himino, who had been holding Aki back. Aki, bleeding, says that Denji may be reckless, but he's crucial. He needs Denji alive to one day take down the gun devil and avenge his family. Without Denji, that dream dies too. After hearing Aki's words, Denji tells Power to use her blood abilities to patch Aki up. Then, ready to throw himself into battle, he looks at Himino and reminds her of her promise to kiss him with tongue if he kills the devil. Denji prepares to fight, saying the Eternity Devil is clearly afraid of his chainsaws. He figures if he causes enough pain, the devil will beg to die just to end the suffering. Turning to Aki one last time, Denji says he doesn't want to owe anyone. Then, with a roar, he transforms and leaps into the Eternity Devil's mouth. A moment later, Denji explodes out of the creature in full chainsaw devil form, slashing wildly. The team watches and most of them have never seen this side of him before. The Eternity Devil fights back and manages to tear off one of Denji's arms, but even bleeding and injured, Denji refuses to stop. Power, watching from the sidelines, grows worried as Denji continues losing blood from the relentless fight. Eventually, the monster traps Denji and weakens him to the point where his chainsaws vanish. But Denji doesn't give up. He sinks his teeth into the devil, chomping off a chunk to absorb some blood. As it kicks in, Denji starts laughing like a lunatic and jumps back into the fight with even more energy than before. Watching Denji go absolutely feral in battle reminds Himino of something her mentor Kishibe once told her, that the devil hunters who scare devils the most aren't the strongest, they're the craziest. All of Himino's past partners had been wiped out, and Kishibe believed they died because they were too normal too sane. When Kishibe asked about Aki, Himino said he was different. She thought he might be crazy too. Like most hunters, Aki wants to take down the gun devil, but unlike the others, he's obsessed with it. Kishibe told her to train Aki well, because his level of madness might be enough to actually stand a chance. But Himino, after watching all her partners die, doesn't want Aki to end up like them. She once tried to convince him to quit the public safety team and go private to leave the gun devil dream behind. But Aki flat out refused. He said nothing else mattered to him but putting the gun devil's head on the table. Himino knew deep down Aki wasn't unhinged enough to win that fight, but now, watching Denji go off the rails on the Eternity Devil, she realizes she might have finally found someone insane and strong enough to pull it off. As Denji collapses mid-battle, Himino uses her ghost hand to yank his starter cord. Denji jumps back up, laughing like a madman, saying there's so much devil blood around that he can just drink and keep fighting forever. The Eternity Devil, for the first time, is genuinely terrified. 3 days pass. The rest of the group is starving, worn out, and losing hope. Himino lies beside Aki and softly tells him the fight is finally over. The Eternity Devil couldn't take the pain anymore and begged Denji to kill him, and Denji, of course, didn't hesitate to carve out the heart. With the devil dead, the spell breaks, and they escape the hotel. Denji, still smiling, proudly says he scored another gun devil bullet from this mission, then collapses after fighting non-stop for 3 days. Himino catches him before he hits the ground. Carrying him on her back, she tells Kobeni and Arai to head to HQ and report everything. Meanwhile, she and Power will take Denji and Aki to the hospital. A few days after defeating another devil, Himino suggests to Aki that they should throw a welcome party for the rookies. When Aki asks why, she says it'll give Kobeni and Arai a chance to apologize to Denji for trying to hand him over, and more importantly, it might stop them from quitting the team. Aki agrees but says the party has to happen within the week. He wants to invite Mikima before she leaves town to recruit reinforcements, especially to boost protection around Denji, since devils keep targeting him. Himino then mentions how strange it is that Mikima is taking such a strong interest in Denji. Ever since he joined the squad, she's been staying in the city a lot more. Himino jokes that if they can get Mikima drunk at the party, maybe she'll spill whatever secrets she's hiding. A few days later, the team gathers for the party, but Mikima still hasn't arrived. She sent word that she'll be late. Eventually, Kobeni shows up, and when she starts eating, she lights up with joy. She says the food is incredible and that she's never eaten anything this good, since all her money usually goes to her freeloading parents. Power is busy devouring everything in sight, not even pretending to share, while Denji's attention is all on Himino. He asks her about the kiss, and she teases that she'll do it once she's tipsy enough to not feel embarrassed. To lighten the mood, someone suggests the rookies introduce themselves. Aki's rookies go first without any trouble, but when they ask another devil hunter about his squad, he says all his rookies died recently. This makes Kobeni and Arai even more nervous. Himino, already drunk, starts acting flirty, and Denji sees it as his chance. He can't stop staring at her lips until Mikima shows up out of nowhere, surprising everyone who hasn't met her. She sits and casually asks Denji if he's really about to kiss someone, while Himino tries to shove her tongue into his mouth, flustering Denji. Not wanting Mikima to know the truth, Denji quickly changes the subject and boasts that he helped recover a gun devil bullet. Mikima praises him, and Aki takes the opportunity to ask why so many gun devil-related devils are going after Denji. She drinks her beer and says she'll explain, but only if Aki can outdrink her. Aki accepts the challenge, and Himeno joins in, but both end up losing as Mikima easily outdrinks them. Then Himeno suddenly grabs Denji and kisses him in front of Mikima. At first, Denji is thrilled, but just as it gets heated, Himeno throws up directly into his mouth. As Denji stands there in shock, it reminds him of the time he and Pachita saw rats eating vomit in an alley, only this time, he's the rat. Arai helps him spit it out and jokes that Denji is lucky to have gotten her puke. But Denji, wide-eyed and traumatized, tells Arai that he's f***ed. Later, while everyone's getting ready to head home, Mikima realizes Denji is missing. Turns out, Himeno took him with her. She clumsily carries his knocked-out body into her apartment, nearly tripping before managing to drop him onto her bed. Still drunk, she removes his shoes and lets him rest while she heads to the bathroom, strips down, and takes a quick shower to sober up. Afterward, she grabs a beer from the fridge and crouches on the floor to keep herself from toppling over while drinking. Denji wakes up groggy and confused, thirsty and unsure where he is. Just then, Himeno, still buzzed, walks over holding her beer and gives it to him through a mouth-to-mouth pass. While wobbling, she starts wondering aloud why Denji is even in her bed. But after thinking about how obsessed he is with Mikima, she suddenly gets jealous, telling him he deserves better. She lays beside him, pressing her chest against him while messing with his lips. Denji, still processing everything, hears Himeno plainly offer to sleep with him. He asks what she means, and she bluntly says she wants him to lay down the almighty pipe. That triggers a flashback in Denji's mind to earlier at the bar when Mikima had taken him outside to cool off. She handed him some medicine and told him to go home. Denji had opened up, saying he now felt that every kiss in the future would just remind him of that puke-filled nightmare. Seeing how down he was, Mikima had popped her lollipop into his mouth, calling it a sweet memory to replace the gross one her version of an indirect kiss. Because of that, Denji turns down Himeno's offer, choosing instead to crash on the floor. While lying there, he mumbles to himself that the only pair of cheeks he really wants Mikima's melons, nothing else. The next morning, Himeno wakes Denji up and offers him breakfast. She admits she blacked out last night and can't remember a thing. Curious, she asks if she did anything questionable like taking his gizzy. Denji assures her she didn't, proudly adding that his gizzy is strictly reserved for Mikima's sweet lips. Realizing Denji is seriously into Mikima, Himeno smiles and suggests they make a deal. She'll help him get with Mikima if he helps her win over Aki. Denji agrees instantly. She then asks him to bring Aki and Power over occasionally so they can all enjoy breakfast together. But even after hearing that, Denji wonders if Mikima would ever join them. Meanwhile, Mikima is on a train headed to Kyoto to meet the higher-ups and public safety people she clearly has no interest in dealing with. But before she even gets there, as the train enters a tunnel, gunmen shoot both her and her assistant dead, leaving their bodies slumped and bloodied. Back in Tokyo, while Aki's squad is eating together, Kobeni and the others are ambushed by the same attackers. At another table, Denji and the rest are relaxing when he notices a sketchy guy nearby ranting nonsense claiming Saitama could beat Goku. But then the man locks eyes with Denji and reveals he's the grandson of Denji's former Yakuza boss. He knows Denji is the target of the gun devil and with no warning, pulls a gun and shoots Denji in the head. As he tries to shoot the rest of the team, they dodge, and Power retaliates fast enough to subdue him. Aki then summons his fox devil, who swallows the man and destroys part of the building. However, things take a strange turn. The fox devil tells Aki that what she consumed was neither human nor devil. Suddenly, the man slices his way out from inside the fox, revealing himself as the katana devil. Aki draws his sword and lands 3 clean hits before summoning the cursed devil, a being that kills any marked target after 3 strikes. The katana devil appears to fall dead. Aki turns to Power, who urgently says Himeno needs a doctor. As Aki spots the attacker's gun, he's puzzled. Guns are banned in Japan. Suddenly, a mysterious girl appears, impressed by Aki's abilities. She casually revives the katana devil as if it's nothing. This time, the katana devil doesn't hold back. He speed blitzes Aki, knocking him down instantly. As he walks over to finish the job, Himeno tries to summon her ghost devil, but it refuses, clearly afraid of the blonde girl. Desperate, Himeno offers everything she has if the ghost devil will just protect Aki. The ghost devil accepts, transforming into a massive, multi-armed monster. Despite the katana devil's efforts, she restrains him completely. But the price is steep. Himeno begins disappearing, losing her limbs one by one. Even so, she smiles through the pain, knowing she's doing this for Aki. As her body fades, her only wish is to see Aki cry for her, just wants to finally see his real feelings come out before she's gone for good. The katana devil, struggling, begs the blonde girl for help. She calmly summons her own devil, a monstrous serpent that devours Himeno's ghost devil in seconds. After the snake finishes its meal, she retracts it. Aki turns to look where Himeno had been, but all that remains are her clothes and her eye patch. She's completely gone. As the chaos calms, the katana devil tells the blonde that Power has escaped. But while they're distracted, the leftover piece of Himino's ghost devil crawls over to Denji and pulls his starter cord, reviving him and transforming him into the chainsaw devil. Denji immediately launches himself at the katana devil, starting a brutal blade versus chainsaw battle. As the two fight, the blonde Satori calls in reinforcements. Denji gains the upper hand and starts pushing katana back. But suddenly, armed backup arrives, making the fight harder. Though Denji slaughters the goons easily, the constant interference gives katana an opening. Denji grabs one of the Yakuza as a hostage. Katana pretends to surrender but then teleports behind Denji and slices both him and the hostage clean in half like their paper. With Denji down, Katana picks up his body to leave, but just then, Denji reverts back to human. Meanwhile, across Tokyo, all of Mikima's devil hunters are being gunned down. The Yakuza attackers on the train plan to escape, but before they can act, Mikima stands up, alive and drenched in blood, completely unfazed. Back in Kyoto, local devil hunters are told about the Tokyo attack and assume Mikima is dead. But as her train pulls into the station, they see people running out screaming. Mikima casually walks out, covered in blood, and greets the hunters like nothing happened. She tells them not to worry, it's not her blood, but that of the attackers she handled. With Tokyo under siege and Denji missing, the Kyoto hunters offer to rush to help, but Mikima says they're too far to make it in time. Instead, she gives a different order: bring her 30 death row convicts, clean clothes, and take her to Kyoto's highest temple. Soon after, a truckload of prisoners arrives. They're fed their final meals before being escorted to the mountaintop temple. Mikima changes clothes to keep her style intact and prepares for the ritual using her devil contract. Back in Tokyo, as Katana Devil and Satori try to escape with Denji's body, a crow appears overhead. One of the Yakuza suddenly panics, shouting that something feels wrong. Before he can act, his body explodes, reduced to a splatter of blood. Satori realizes something's off and orders one of the men to check Mikima's body. But just as he moves, he too bursts into blood like a smashed tomato. At the Kyoto temple, the convicts are lined up wearing blindfolds. Even the hunters nearby are blindfolded, forbidden from witnessing Mikima's ritual or knowing which devil she's made a contract with. She walks to the first convict and calmly asks him to say the name of a Yakuza member. The moment the name is spoken, the named man in Tokyo explodes into mush. The other Yakuza begin panicking, but it's useless. With each name spoken, Mikima gestures and another man dies instantly. One by one, they're all obliterated. When the ritual ends and the convicts are all dead, Mikima tells the hunters to remove their blindfolds. Her job is done here now. She's headed back to Tokyo. Back with the Katana Devil, only he and Satori are left alive after watching every Yakuza member get wiped out. Satori quickly realizes this kind of massacre could only be Mikima's doing. Just as they try to flee with Denji's body, Kobini suddenly appears still alive. Turns out, when the granny tried to shoot her and Arai jumped in to shield her. Now holding a knife, Kobini rushes at them. Even with the Snake Devil in play, she goes full assassin mode, slicing off the Katana Devil's hand and landing a shot right after. Satori fires back, but Kobini dodges and uses Denji's limp body as a shield, forcing Satori to retreat. She drags the Katana Devil into a van and escapes, barely. Kobini, left with Denji's body, apologizes for trying to offer him up before. She starts crying and laughing, thinking about how Arai saved her, then suddenly guns down the old woman who shot at her earlier. She realizes she's breaking down and decides that next time, she'll tell Himino she's done with this job, unaware of Himino's fate. Meanwhile, at the station, Mikima arrives with the two devil hunters from Kyoto and meets one of the last surviving Tokyo hunters. He informs her that due to the losses, the higher-ups are merging all the teams into one with Mikima in charge. He hands her a letter, saying he wants to quit. When he asks if she saw the Yakuza's attack coming, Mikima coldly says that civilians don't need to know about devil hunter matters. As she walks off, the two Kyoto agents nervously admit they're also stepping down. Mikima stays composed, but it clearly disappoints her. The next day, Aki wakes up in the hospital, and Denji and Power are there with apples. As Denji eats, Power demands some, but he refuses, calling her out for running during the fight. They bicker over the fruit until Aki asks if anyone else from their division made it. Denji tells him only Kobini survived, besides the three of them. As they leave, Denji tosses Aki one apple out of sympathy. Left alone, Aki grabs his sword and asks the cursed devil how much time he has left. The answer, just 2 more years. He picks up a cigarette lying next to the apple but hesitates to light it, remembering how Himino once helped him light one. The memory hits hard, and Aki quietly breaks down, mourning the only person who truly cared for him. While outside, Denji hears Aki crying, and even though he gets why Aki feels that way, he's confused about himself. He thinks back to Himino, the first person who truly wanted to be his friend, and wonders why he didn't feel anything when she died. He starts questioning if he's heartless or just a terrible person. Denji then realizes that even if Mikima or the others died, he probably wouldn't be sad either. He brushes it off and heads with Power to see Mikima. Meanwhile, Two devil hunters from Kyoto, Hirokazu and Tendo, arrive at the hospital to visit Aki. They tell him that Makima sent them to help him rebuild and train a new team for Special Division 4. At the same time, Makima tells Denji and Power that since the gun devil seems to be after Denji's heart, she wants to boost the team's strength. She introduces them to their new trainer, Kishibe. Before anything, Kishibe fires off odd questions like whether they'd side with humans or devils, and even asks if they think Krillin could beat Saitama. Denji and Power both say Krillin would stomp Saitama. Pleased with their ridiculous answers, Kishibe calls them a rare pair and tells Makima to leave. Training starts immediately. He then hugs both of them and introduces himself as someone who loves booze, women, and wrecking devils. Without warning, he snaps both their necks and leaves them twitching on the ground. But then, he pulls out a bag of blood and revives them. Kishibe explains that while they're technically human, blood helps them recover fast. He tells Denji that he's weak and keeps getting beaten up, but since the gun devil is after him, it's time he gets strong. Even though Kishibe's never trained devils before, he got drunk and decided that the best way to train them was by making them survive him. If they can't beat him, he'll just keep hunting them down. Power summons a giant hammer and hands it to Denji, ready to take Kishibe on. But with a flash of speed, Kishibe knocks Denji out with a blade and slices Power's throat with ease. As they lie there bleeding, he calls Denji immortal and Power almost immortal, just way too weak. His goal: turn them into monsters stronger than God. Hours later, after getting killed over and over again, Kishibe finally leaves, saying he'll return the next day to keep the beatings going. As soon as he's gone, Denji collapses, looking like he's lost his mind. Power, seeing him wig out like he's on some wild drug trip, starts slapping his head to bring him back to reality. He eventually snaps out of it, but after going through so many brutal deaths, both of them are mentally wrecked. As they walk home, completely drained, they talk about how miserable it is to have Kishibe stalking them daily until they somehow get strong enough to defeat him. That's when Power suddenly gets a eureka moment and suggests they outsmart Kishibe instead of trying to outfight him. By teaming up their brain power, they might finally have a shot. That thought brings them some hope. The next morning, Kishibe shows up drunk to their apartment to continue their training. But Denji and Power are prepared. They've channeled their inner Einstein. As Kishibe tries to enter, Power strikes with a long pole. He dodges easily, but before he can react, she jumps at him from above. Kishibe blocks that, too, but suddenly Denji ambushes from behind with an axe. Just when it looks like their combo might work, Kishibe casually kicks Denji in the face, shutting down the ambush. Despite the failure, Kishibe admits their effort impressed him and tells them he's taking the rest of the day off. Denji starts celebrating, but right when he lets his guard down, Kishibe throws a knife right into Denji's skull. He casually warns Denji never to trust what a devil hunter says, especially him. Back at the hospital, Aki tries summoning his fox devil again, but nothing happens. Tendo and Kuros tell him it's done helping him after being forced to eat something as nasty as the katana devil. They explain his cursed devil contract has already shortened his lifespan and suggest he retire to live peacefully while he still can. But Aki, driven by his family's murder and now Himino's death, refuses to give up. They suggest Aki try forming a new pact with a much stronger devil instead. As they leave, a young woman enters. Aki's eyes widen. She looks just like Himino. She introduces herself as Himino's younger sister and gives him a letter. Inside, it's a message Himino had written to her, filled with questions about their dad and stories about Aki. She even mentioned wanting Aki to leave public devil hunting and go private with her so they could always be together. The next day, Aki visits a high-security prison with Tendo and Kuros to meet a devil that's locked inside the future devil. They explain that two people have made deals with it. One gave up half his lifespan, while the other had to endlessly watch Boku no Pico, which is a fate worse than death. Aki enters the chamber and meets the future devil, who's bizarrely dancing around, mumbling about how One Piece's ending is trash and fans were heartbroken. Aki, unfazed, asks the devil what it'll cost to make a deal. The future devil tells Aki to stick his head into his body first so it can read his future. After a brief moment inside the devil's guts, the future devil bursts into laughter. It says the deal is simple, it just wants to live inside Aki's right eye. Aki is shocked at how small the price is, but the future devil tells him the reason is simple. The future that lies ahead for Aki is going to be incredible. Meanwhile, Denji and Power keep grinding through their brutal training. After they finally land a solid hit on Kishibe, he acknowledges their progress and tells them that from now on, he'll only beat them down once a week. That news makes both of them pretty happy. Kishibe then warns them that since Division 4 is gearing up for their first mission to take down the Katana Devil, their training is about to hit a whole new level, and he won't hold back. Denji jokes that if he ever gets a chance to kill Kishibe during battle, he'll let him live out of respect for making him stronger. Later, Kishibe sits down for a drink with Makima and downs a lot of alcohol. He admits that he started to genuinely care for Denji and Power just like he cared for all the devil hunters he's lost over the years. Makima asks why he really wanted to talk, and Kishibe reveals that he suspects she knew about the ambush on public safety agents, and chose not to act. Even though she got attacked too, he's not buying the act. He says straight up that he doesn't trust her, but adds that as long as she's still working for the survival of humanity and against devils, he won't interfere yet. The next day, Kuroz and Tendo drive Aki back to HQ. On the way, Kuroz confronts Aki and accuses him of acting like he's better than everyone just because he has a personal vendetta against the Gun Devil. He explains that he and Tendo also have deep reasons to hate the Gun Devil, but unlike Aki, they don't have the strength to do anything about it. Aki snaps back, telling Kuroz he couldn't care less about what he thinks. As they arrive, Hirose admits that even though he can't stand Aki, he genuinely hopes he gets his revenge and wins. Elsewhere, Makima is in a shady meeting with a high-ranking Yakuza boss. She brings up the attack on the Devil Hunters and asks who was behind it. The boss denies it was his call and shows her a photo of Satori, explaining that she's the one who convinced certain Yakuza members to go rogue. He reveals that the Gun Devil offered her and her men weapons in exchange for cash, and that's how the ambush came to be. Makima calmly asks him to hand over the names of everyone tied to the Gun Devil. The boss is happy to give up names from his own crew, but refuses to snitch on members of other Yakuza families. He warns that exposing rival gangs would spark a turf war he can't afford, especially with foreign criminal groups always looking for a chance to get in on Japan's territory. Makima then casually places a bag on the table. The boss chuckles, thinking she's trying to bribe him, but she corrects him it's not a bribe. Inside the bag are eyeballs belonging to the families and loved ones of the Yakuza in that very room. The boss's expression drops as he opens the bag and sees the horror inside. Makima calmly says she knows someone who can reattach them if he cooperates. One of the goons in the room steps forward to attack her, but freezes when she glares at him. Moments later, he starts bleeding from the nose and suddenly dies right there. Makima tells the boss his excuses are trash. He doesn't care about peace or avoiding chaos. He just wants to save himself, even after everything horrible his organization has done. While Division 4 reaches the enemy base and gears up for battle, Kobeni is already trembling, wishing she could bail. Meanwhile, Power and Denji are pumped and ready to brawl thanks to all the brutal training they've gone through. Aki walks over to Kishibe and asks about the strategy, but Kishibe tells him there's only one charge in and smash everything. As the squad heads in, a cop and a devil hunter stop Kishibe and ask what their role is. He instructs them to guard the exits, especially the basement, explaining that while the special squad will take on the enemy, the cops need to make sure fiends like Denji and Power don't run wild and cause chaos outside. Down in the basement, it's crawling with zombies. More of Division 4's unique devil hybrid members show up. First, there's Beam, a shark-toothed fiend who can swim through solid surfaces like a shark. Then comes the Violence Fiend, who wears a gas mask to suppress his poisonous aura. Next is the Spider Fiend, who transforms into an actual spider when things get real. Finally, there's the Angel Devil, who can kill anyone with just a touch. While Denji and the others are hacking through zombies, the Angel Devil casually asks Aki for a tissue to clean off some blood. When he hands it over, she seems surprised by how fearless he is, considering how deadly she is to touch. Just then, a henchman fires at Aki, but Angel shields him, giving Aki the chance to knock the guy out. Aki then tells his squad to divert the zombie horde away from them and focus on hunting down Satori and the Katana Devil. After splitting up, Aki walks into a hallway where a man with a gun bursts out from a door. Aki dodges the shot and lands a clean uppercut. Suddenly, more gunmen appear, but before they can fire, they all drop dead. Aki instantly realizes Makima must be helping from a distance. He keeps moving forward and runs into Satori, the one behind Himino's death. She summons the Ghost Devil, which was once Himino's partner, to fight him. Aki dodges its strikes using his right eye ability from the future devil. But eventually, the ghost overwhelms him and catches him in a chokehold. As he begins to lose consciousness, Aki has a flashback the first time Himino gave him a cigarette. It was a peaceful memory from a simpler time he now cherishes. Suddenly, Aki regains awareness and notices the Ghost Devil has let go. In front of him, the ghost holds out a cigarette, the same brand Himino used to smoke, with the words "Easy Revenge" written on it. That one gesture triggers a memory. Himino once told him the Ghost Devil is blind and only senses fear. Remembering this, Aki fearlessly steps forward and climbs the ghost's body with confidence, no longer afraid. To him, the ghost is now just a reminder of Himino, not an enemy. Satori is stunned by what she sees. With no hesitation, Aki slashes down the Ghost Devil, the final remnant of Himino. Before Satori can react, Kobeni suddenly appears behind her and holds a knife to her neck, forcing her to surrender. Surprised to see Kobeni still in action, Aki asks why she didn't quit like she said she would. With a straight face, she shrugs and says it's because she's broke and still needs the paycheck. While Denji is riding the elevator with Power, she's happily munching on a zombie hand like it's a snack, which grosses Denji out completely. When the elevator doors slide open to reveal a floor packed with zombies, instead of holding back, Power boldly steps forward and loudly declares that she's here to wreck their undead faces. Denji, not interested in dealing with her drama, calmly closes the elevator door and heads up to the next floor to continue his search for the Katana Devil. Once the elevator hits the 13th floor, the doors open again and Denji comes face to face with the Katana Devil and two of his armed goons. Surprisingly, the Katana Devil asks for a chat. Denji agrees, curious. The Katana Devil begins explaining how the Yakuza fell apart after the boss died, and how the gang now blames Denji for everything. He adds that even though the gang members had become zombies, Denji should have felt bad for killing them since they used to be human. Trying to strike a deal, the Katana Devil suggests Denji end his own life to make things even and maybe head to another world and tag along with Subaru from Re-Zero. Denji thinks about it for a second, then bluntly tells him no and sarcastically suggests that the Katana Devil should lick his feet instead. That's the end of negotiations. Their fight breaks out and both of them crash through the building, eventually landing on a rooftop. Katana Devil launches a flurry of attacks while Denji keeps dodging. The brawl takes them through a window, down to a lower rooftop, and finally onto the roof of a moving train. The Katana Devil notes Denji has improved, asking why he still fights. Denji answers that he wants to protect his new lifestyle and, of course, impress Makima enough so maybe one day she'll let him lick her toes. As the brutal battle continues on the train, a civilian accidentally gets in the way. The distraction gives the Katana Devil a chance to go full ninja mode, slicing off both of Denji's arms. Thinking the fight is over, he demands Denji apologize for killing his grandfather. But Denji grins and reveals the battle isn't done, he's still got one more trick. While the Katana Devil prepares for the final blow, Denji surprises him by launching a hidden chainsaw from his leg. The saw slices straight through the Katana Devil's body, splitting him clean in half. Later, Katana Devil wakes up to find himself tied up on the train tracks, completely exposed. Denji is standing over him and reflects on how, in some ways, they're similar, both saved by devils. But when the Katana Devil arrogantly threatens to kill Makima right in front of Denji, Denji decides it's time to settle things his way. Right then, Aki arrives and confirms the mission is complete. Katana Devil is secured. Before the rest of the team gets there, Denji proposes a little contest. The rules? He and Aki will take turns kicking Katana Devil right in the jewels, and whoever gets the loudest scream wins. While Aki tries to keep things professional as a devil hunter, Denji keeps arguing that this guy is the reason Himino ended up dead. Aki pulls out the same cigarette that reminds him of her, and after thinking about it for a while, he nods and agrees to Denji's idea. The Katana Devil starts sweating when he sees what they're planning, taking turns kicking him right in the family jewels. One by one, they start punting his manhood like it's a soccer ball. Each blow echoes as the Katana Devil groans in agony. Aki treats this painful beatdown like a tribute to Himino, a final gift for her to smile at from the afterlife. After this odd little victory, Makima heads back to report to her superiors. She explains that the real puppet master, Saitari, used to be a devil hunter herself. At some point, she made a deal with the gun devil and started trading firearms to the Yakuza in exchange for tracking down the chainsaw devil's heart. But before they can question her, Saitari calls out her snake devil and uses it to bite her own head clean off, leaving Kobeni frozen in horror. Despite the chaos, the mission is marked a win. The team managed to collect a whole kilo of gun devil flesh, and now that it's been added to the pieces they already gathered, they finally have enough to trace the gun devil's location and take him down once and for all. Back home, Denji and his squad get back to living their normal goofy lives. They go shopping, joke around, and even enjoy dinner together like a real family. The mood's light and full of laughter, celebrating the crazy when they just pulled off, but calm moments don't last long in their world. Later that night, Aki steps outside for a breather. He lights up the cigarette Himino left him, takes a long drag, and silently reflects on how much he misses her. That one smoke holds all the feelings he never got to say. What do you think, guys? Would Denji clap Makima or not? Tell me in the comment, guys. That's it for today's video, guys. Watch the following video, and I will see you in the next one.